my God, guys. I just finished watching AEW nearly 30 something minutes ago, and just when you thought that MJF, just when you thought that MJF was doing exactly what we all expected him to do, to take over leadership in Inner Circle, and for the Inner Circle essentially to turn on Chris Jericho so then they could side with MJF. Instead, it was a complete swerve. MJF has made a faction of his own, which the irony about this is that just last week, when the FTR and Tully Blanchard had defeated Jurassic Express on a go home show to AEW Revolution, you saw them putting up the force on because it was actually Shawn Spears that got involved in the match to help them win. To help them win this match. He had a mask on his face. He took his mask off. We hadn't seen Shawn Spears in months. Then they all put the Four Horsemen sign up. And then, of course, you saw, R. Anderson come out and he put it up as well. The other guy, I think his name was JJ. I can't think of the other guy's name that was in the ring with them, but they all had the fours and sound up, and that just happened last week. Fast forward to this week, and the same guys who had just all formulated because, Telly Blanchard had been managing FTR and Shawn Spears separately. They had no interaction with each other, and then we finally saw them merge together last week. Now, this week, MJF, this same group that had just formed last week, MJF appears to be the leader of that group. What a swerve! Because for many of us, we thought I know a lot of people probably thought the obvious choice was just going to be MJF turning on Chris, the whole entire Inner Circle turning on Chris, and MJF taking leadership. But instead, they did something that's even more interesting because now we got a warfare between two different fractions, which ultimately not only turns Chris Jericho babyface, but this pretty much turns the whole entire Inner Circle babyface because it wasn't long ago that Sammy Guevara had basically turned babyface once he at the week after Beach Break, where he got eliminated and inadvertently by mistake by Chris Jericho in the tag team battle royal, which was won by Chris and MJF to challenge the Young Bucks for the tag belts at AEW Revolution. A week after that, he quit the Inner Circle. And you didn't see him, and he walked out of the babyface turn. And you fast forward to now, and right when Inner Circle comes out, and you just knew MJF had a plan up his sleeve because you saw Chris Jericho, you saw them come out, and Chris says, there's some changes that's going to need to be made with the Inner Circle, maybe even we're going to be stronger, we're going to be better. Maybe even we need to add a new member of the Inner Circle. And then that's when MJF comes out. That's when MJF says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't think we need to add a new member, but I think we need, a new leadership." And you could tell where it was going from there. You pretty much could see it. The obvious choice here was, MJF, the whole entire circle was snapping on Jericho. But no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's what most of us thought was exactly what was going to happen. But instead, they did this smoothly because instead of him just turning on him, instead of the whole entire Inner Circle turning on him, you have Sammy Guevara come back, who we hadn't seen since the second week of February, because it was actually that the week after Beach Break. Beach Break was the first week of February the 3rd, and then you fast forward to the week after that. So I want to say that February 10th episode of AEW, that was the last time we had seen. That was actually the last time. That was the last time we had seen Sammy Guevara. He said he quit the Inner Circle and he just walked away because MJF tried to frame him and make it seem like, he had just hit him for no reason, when in reality it was actually MJF who tried to record him saying saying that he didn't like the Inner Circle, that he didn't care about Chris. And Sammy was the first one that knew it. Sammy was the first one that knew And even, Ortiz kind of knew it too, but he kind of eventually just stayed back about it and just said that MJF was growing on. But Sammy knew it from the start that MJF was trying to take leadership. And, he tried to frame Sammy for being sarcastic when he was talking about Chris, but ultimately Sammy, broke it through, his slammed the phone down and punched him straight in the gut. And that's when he tried to pretend like Sam just attacked him for no reason. So at that point, that's when he left the inner circle. He said he just needed to get out of this place. He was gone. We didn't see him. Now we fast forward to March 10th of today, which is funny because February 10th was the last time that we essentially saw um, Sammy Guevara, the AEW after beach break. And then now, a whole month later, exactly a month later, Sammy Guevara comes back. He tells Chris, I need you to see this footage. Chris doesn't want anything to do with MJF. He doesn't even want to hear his name. Chris is like, no, no, no. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, look, I told you I want nothing to do with you. And he's like, listen, we've been through a lot together. I need you to see this. And he shows the footage of MJF basically talking to Santana Ortiz and even Jack Hager about, snapping on Chris. And then, MJF looks at him and he tries to get them to get him. He said, well, he's like, well, you found out first. And he's like, get him. And then they all look like they're going to attack Chris. Then they all turn with Chris and all look at MJF. And then he pushes him down, tells him he's fired from the inner circle, and they look as though they're going to attack him. But then, MJF is like, look, I never wanted to take leadership. He's like, look, I never wanted to take leadership over the inner circle. Look, I never wanted to take leadership of the inner circle because I've been forming an own team of my own. And then the lights go out, and then all of a sudden you see Sean Spears, FTR, Telly Blanchard, all just attacking them. And my goodness, I mean, this was just done very smoothly. I don't think anybody expected. I mean, we just saw them formulate last week, but I don't think a lot of people expected MJF to end up being the leader of this whole faction. So now you got another faction warfare. They come out, basically beat the mess out of Inner Circle. MJF ends up hitting Chris Jericho with his diamond ring. They actually chained them up, locked their arms up. Santana Ortiz and even Chris, like they had their arms locked, so they couldn't do anything. Handcuffed their hands. MJF hit him with his diamond ring. Then Wardlow actually power bombs Chris. Chris is busted open at this point. He takes the bat that Chris is known for using. He hits Chris with the bat, and then basically he busts his head open and then Wardlow body slam. He basically power bombs Chris Jericho through a table to end off the show. But my goodness, I mean, a lot of us, you knew this was going to happen. You knew that the tension is going to explode sooner or later. The moment that MJF joined Inner Circle, back at Full Gear when he beat Chris, and the deal was that if he won, he would actually join Inner Circle. You knew from there that there was going to be tension, because prior to that there was no problems in the Inner Circle. There was nothing that even hinted that there was distinction between the group. But the moment that he essentially joined, that was when the tension started, and you just kind of knew from there that it was going to lead into something like this. But they actually did it pretty smoothly, because while most of us pretty much thought that, or at least me anyways, thought that Samuel was probably just going to go on his own, just do his own thing, finally just go solo, because he's been looking great as, solo by himself. Instead, what they decided to do is have the whole entire Inner Circle turn babyface, because that's essentially what just happened. And now you got MJF with his fraction as the heels. And I mean, my God, this is going to be very interesting. I would say that they all turn babyface, considering the fact that I don't really see this being a heel versus heel thing. I think at this point you could pretty much say they're all babyfaces, but who knows? I could be wrong, or maybe they're tweeners. But it seems like, based on this beatdown they took, and we've seen a lot of heel versus heel things and a lot of different occasions, but in this specific case, it seems like they're the ones that are turning as the baby faces. And it was Sammy that walked across the babyface tunnel when he first left last month. So it seems like now the whole entire group has turned babyface. Now MJF had a trick up his sleeve. So this was a really interesting way to end off, AEW Dynamite after AEW Revolution. And this, of course, this wasn't the only thing that happened. We kicked off the night Ray Phoenix going against Matt Jackson, which was an amazing match. As expected. You saw Scorpio Sky turn heel after losing the Derby Alley in the TNT Championship match, which I knew that was going to happen from just based off the way he was kind of talking, doing commentary, the AEW before Revolution. I kind of knew that was going to happen, even though he won the ladder match at AEW Revolution. I kind of figured if he didn't win this match, he probably would turn heel. You saw this thing was with QC Marshall explaining what happened in the Battle Royal, Tag Team Battle Royal, Casino Battle Royal, whatever. And, he ultimately, Ethan Page beat Lee Johnson in his debut in a AEW, since, his debut match was at the pay-per-view, his first match on the actual Dynamite show. Uh, that was a pretty interesting. So you just seen a lot of other crazy things happen tonight, and man, this was definitely something else here to end off like this. You got another faction warfare. This should be very interesting. How they're going to go about with this. I mean, you even saw Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers and you saw them pretty much mock Eddie Kingston for what he did, just to kind of play off the botch that happened at with the fireworks or whatever, with the explosion, mocking Eddie Kingston, daring him to hit him, and he ultimately did end up hitting him, and Moxley actually comes out to save Eddie Kingston from the beatdown, tries to save Eddie Kingston from the beatdown. Um, Eddie Kingston basically has turned babyface since saving Moxley at Revolution. So it definitely a lot of interesting things happened tonight, and I just wanted to specifically point out, um, even the the six women's tag match, that was a really good match as well. Um, but I just wanted to point out this because this was just crazy. You got MJF of a new faction, leader of a new faction, and man, it's just wow. I I got to give it to him. I mean, I figured he would do that, considering he's just a guy he can't take. He can't take any orders. He pretty much just has to be in charge. Just with his character, you just knew that wasn't going to last very long. Um, but this should be very interesting how they're going to go about with this. And yeah, so sign off, Remaster Flex. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you guys in the video.